Hey everyone, on this video I'm going to show you how to do a really cool sculpted edge on a piece of furniture. A while back I had a customer who wanted some custom shelving done for a display case, and the edge that they wanted was something that looked like sort of a live edge, but they wanted something a little bit more artistic than that. And so this is what I came up with. And as you can see, it's fairly sculpted. It's got a soft sculpt to it, but it's nice and wavy. And this is kind of what they were going for. And there's a lot of ways that you can go about achieving this effect, but I'm going to show you the way that I do it, and hopefully this will be helpful for you if you decide to do something similar. There's a few tools that you're going to need, but only a couple, so let me show you what they are. First is a grinder of your choice. I use this one. It's a 4.5-inch grinder. I've had it for a few years, works great for me. But what's important is what's in the grinder, and that's the cutting tool that I'm going to show you, and that's this right here. This is called an Arbotech Turbo Plane. Now what I like about this tool is that it cuts very, very fast and it cuts very, very smooth. As long as you keep the blades inside here sharp, which you can resharpen them many times, it does a really great job at carving out wood. So this is the very first thing and the most important thing that you need. Let me show you what else. Even though the turbo plane does cut very smooth, you're still going to want something to sand it after you're done. And I go to the hardware store and I actually get these metal sanding discs. They're very, very cheap, and you can get them in various grits. 80 grit works pretty well, and then usually I come and follow it up with some different kind of sandpaper, maybe with a hand sander or something like that. But this will get it nice and smooth for you to start, and then you can kind of take it from there based on what you want to do with it. The other thing you're going to want is a square and a pencil. And the reason for this, as I'll show you in a second, is even though we're doing a type of free-formed art here, you still want to keep your art constrained to a certain area. The turbo plane throws all kinds of shavings into the air and onto your hands, and so you'll want some type of hand protection more than likely, and probably some type of hearing protection. Now if you don't know about the rule of thirds in art, you need to learn about it, and you're going to learn right now. Lucky you. And so this tabletop right here is about 2 inches thick. And so there are some options. The rule of thirds, I could use this as a minimum and call this 2 inches, and then 4 inches and 6 inches. Or I could use the rule of thirds to say 1, 2, 3, where this would be 2/3, and whatever else I do would be 3/3 or a full, and the minimum would be 1/3. The rule of thirds is very important because what artists have found over time is that based on the rule of thirds, a lot of things tend to fall along a certain type of freeform or shape naturally in nature that is applied to the rule of thirds. Interesting, isn't it? Almost like there's a trinity at work in creation. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to take this 2 inches here, and I'm going to apply the rule of thirds and go in about 3 inches, and I'm going to use that as my inner boundary, and then the edge of the table down here is going to be 2/3. So that may not make any sense to you at this point, but the more you do this, the more it will. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm using a natural form of nature mathematically to try to do a free-form shape that would be appealing to the eye. Boy, that's a lot of words, and again, I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense, but it will when you see it, and I'm going to show you the finished product when I'm all done. So just stick with me, and you'll see how nice this will look when it's all done. By the way, this table, just so you know, is right now 8 foot 2 inches long and 4 feet and a half inch wide. And so there's a lot of work to do here. And so I'm not going to try to show you every last second of what I'm doing, and I know that you'll appreciate that. But I want to show you here how I sort of define the shape and what I'm doing. And again, this is just sort of more artistic, and so it's going to be different based on how you do it, but I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm going to start drawing lines that will define contours and shapes that are going to be made, and this is just carving. And so what I do is I kind of just do a natural kind of a flow like this, different lengths, keeping in mind that everything needs to have a nice flow to it. Now that I've got everything marked out, all I can really do is show you what it is that I'm going to do. And so you'll see me making different movements. And again, most of this is just free form. And so the fun of it is we can just use our imagination and come up with something that looks beautiful. So let's go ahead and start carving. Well, you can see behind me, I've got all of the edges sculpted with that turbo plane, and now goes the next step. I'm gonna switch out my grinder for another grinding disc, like I said. And these are usually used for metal, but you can certainly use them for wood. And this makes a great sort of roughing sand to go all the way around and smooth everything out from that turbo plane. After that, there's gonna be one final step, which is the longest and most tedious step, you know, that part which every woodworker probably dreads, and that's sanding. And so I'm gonna go to my sander right here, and that's gonna be the final step. And I'm gonna work my way all the way up, in this case to 150 grit. And so the edges have to be the same as everything else, you know, that way when you finish it, it's all uniform and it all feels the same. And believe me, on a table like this with all of these edges, when people sit around it, they're gonna wanna touch all of the edges that are around there, and that'll probably be something you'll catch guests eating at the table, you know, doing this underneath the table. Well, that's their business, I guess, if they wanna be doing that. But let's go ahead, and I'm gonna keep going with the sanding process, and this should give you a pretty good idea. And we're gonna do all this fast motion, and then I'm gonna show you the result at the end. Well, I decided to go and sand the whole thing here. And so this is the underneath of the table. It's all sanded to 150 grit. And just walk you around the table here, you can see the sculpted edge. So go all the way around, and then this is the end grain of the table, which is always a little bit trickier. You can see how that's sculpted all around there. And we got this corner, this edge here. And then we've got the final end grain side. And there you have it. So again, if we back up, you can see the whole table. Well, what do you think, guys? I think it's pretty neat. And if you're wondering, as some of you will, just how many shavings did I make doing all of this? Well, there you have it. There's the pile of shavings that I made. And just so you know, I'm about a size 13. So that's quite a bit of shavings. I like to think of this design here as sort of a stone that's been smoothed and picked out of the river. If you think about it, that's kind of what's happening here. We're taking something that's rough, and first we're refining it, and then we're smoothing out all the edges. And so when it's all done, it has that beautiful feel in the hand when you're around the table. If this video has been helpful for you and you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and do so. That would help me out a lot. And then if you're so inclined, hit that bell and you'll be notified of all the future videos that are going to come out. Thanks for watching, guys. God bless you. Bye.